We are Rogue Media Sports.
Whether you're a morning person or a bedtime procrastinator, everyone deserves a mattress that works for their style. And you'll find the best mattress for you at Ashley. The new Temper-Adapt collection at Ashley brings you one-of-a-kind body-conforming technology, making every sleep tailored to be your best. The collection also features cool-to-the-touch covers and motion absorption to help minimize sleep disruptions from partners, pets, or kids. Shop the all-new Temper-Adapt collection at Ashley, in-store or online at ashley.com. Ashley, for the love of home.
Hey, it's Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, Record Store Day founder Carrie Colleton is joining us to discuss the April 20th RSD special releases.
Plus, we'll talk live with our audience, the Sound Up Pod Squad, and find out who still listens to vinyl. And some updates from the Beatles universe.
Oh, good. Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters. Get it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
He showed me his hands afterward. They were calloused and they were red. They were somehow not bleeding. And he actually said he's seen the Packer receivers do this. That's where he got the idea.
And it's, just so you know, it's coming out there at a high velocity. And, I mean, if I had $1 for every time I've heard you say nice jugs,
you'd have $1.
Okay, all right. It is the Doomsday Podcast, and wrapping up what has been quite a week leading up to the Cowboys' second preseason game. Ed Werder joining me. Ed, I have to say, I think we chose the right time. A lot of people get excited, and hey, let's be there when it opens. I felt like there were some developments, and I felt like we were a big part of things out here, and the excitement today was Ed Werder was so committed to this one interview. And I had gone over to hear Jason Garrett. Not sure why. Jason seemed pleased to see us, but
it was an easy thing for me to sacrifice a Jason Garrett press conference.
I don't know. That seems mean. We like Jason.
Oh, it's humorous.
It is. It's also humorous. But Ed sort of was staking out a future Hall of Fame Cowboy, and that's where, Ed, I want you to take the story from here. You noticed, kind of on the far side of the south playing field out here at the complex, the Oxnard, the Residence Inn complex. By the way, on the other side of that wall now, there's a new housing development. I mean, things have really changed over the years. Ed, what did you witness when you looked out there?
Well, so we were watching, and this was a player who you couldn't really determine who it was, except if you studied his movements. Ultimately, you came to the conclusion that it was the one and only Cowboys tight end Jason Witten. And he was working for over an hour on his day off with one of Jerry Jones's grandsons, who's going to go to Highland Park, like they all do, and play football there. And Jason had apparently promised that he would spend some time coaching this kid, and wow, did he ever. Over an hour, worked on everything, high pointing the ball, footwork, how to get open, how to run routes. Even at one point when he was showing him how to block, he lifted him completely off the ground with incredible ease. And Witten was throwing him passes as the kid was running routes. 3 times the kid made a one-handed catch, which speaks not only to his great eye-hand coordination, but also the poor accuracy with which Jason Witten can throw the football even without a pass rush. Yeah. And then I think the amazing thing was we sat there. We had 2 chairs. I got up and got another chair, and I said to you as we were watching this wrap up, I'm going to put my foot on this chair so Witten doesn't think I'm being presumptuous. And as luck would have it, they broke up, and Witten started walking not toward the ramp leading to the locker room out here, but right toward us. And he walked up and said, "Hey, Doomsday Podcast," and he sat down with us, and it was a fairly incredible interview that lasted over 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I thought he was Ed added a lot of it was a reflective Jason
very
Witten.
Introspective. He was very introspective.
Looking back at his career and talking about a career that was kind of heading into this season at the crossroads, as he saw some of his buddies, including one, Tony Romo, one of his best friends, retire.
We need to, I think, add a little context as people get ready to listen to this.
Oh, God, I thought we'd added all the context in the world.
We need some specific context. He's 35 years old. This is his 15th season, and as you suggested, his first without his good friend Tony Romo at quarterback. Yet he just signed a 4-year contract. Are we really looking at Jason Witten playing until he's 39 years old at tight end?
I had to bet against him. They've tried to draft his replacement forever, and that was another one of the things that we talked about. Well, without further ado, here is Jason Witten on a variety of topics in what I think is an interview you'll really enjoy. The only problem with Jason Witten's Hall of Fame candidacy is he just signed on for 4 more years, and it could put it off. Jason, first of all, man, fun to see you out here. This is your, my gosh, you were 20 years old, 2003. How many camps is this? I'm trying to do the math. What is this for you?
This is 15, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you went to Baylor, but it's 2017. So,
okay.
15th year. Excited to be going, and it flies by. It feels like it was 2004. I was going into my second year.
You're obviously a little bit younger than Tony Romo, even though you guys came into the league at the same time. But you've taken wildly divergent paths toward the end of your career. You signing on for 4 more seasons and him leaving to begin his second career maybe a little early. What made you commit to doing 4 more years? I mean, I guess you can get out of the deal, but theoretically.
I mean, I think for me, this is the first year I feel like in my entire career, this all season, that I was forced to kind of reflect, and the whole time I'm always just been like, let's keep building. We got to be better. I got to be better. What can we do more? Those 8 and 8 years, it was just the all season started the first day afterwards, and this all season, finished my 14th season. I knew I was going into the last year of my contract, and then 3 really good teammates retired. And certainly Tony and probably the guy I'm closest to, Marcus Ware, and then, of course, Doug Frio, I played beside for a long time. And so as you're forced to reflect, you think about those relationships and kind of what happened. In the middle of last year, I was just focused on the next day, really. And so you just kind of process all that happens in the entire season. And, with that, and there's a lot of different emotions of it all, but I just found out that, I have this unbelievable love for this game and the opportunity that I have. And I know what my standards are and expectations, and if I can't play at that level, I won't be playing, But I feel like I can do it and do it at a high level, and I really like our team right now, and that's what kind of led me to decide that I want to stay for a while.
So it sounds like maybe you gave some thought to whether you should retire as well because so many of those around you were in that position?
I don't know that I was going to retire. I always felt confident that I was going to keep playing, I never really, allowed retirement to kind of enter my mind. But it just kind of big picture, hey, what's the plan? And I've always believed in just kind of, you hear Jason talk about like that process. But I really believe all the great ones kind of have that mindset of, okay, we understand the big picture. Now let's go back and get better. And so, for a few days I was just thinking, hey, what's my plan? What do I want this to look like? And, I think some of the players we're seeing that are playing the positions at a high level, you understand what the narrative is, right? You're older. We've seen it with Dirk and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, your play is going to dictate that. And I worked my tail off to try to continue to play at a high level.
It's so funny you just said that. I was just about to say that's what I think you and Dirk have in common. Both organizations have basically been trying to not replace you, but find your eventual replacement for about 7 or 8 years now.
Oh, gosh. They've drafted multiple tight ends early, really. I was 23 when they drafted the first one in Anthony Fasano, and that's the business you live in, right? And so you can focus on that and allow the clutter to kind of creep in and, play these mind games and all that kind of stuff. Or you can just say, you know what, screw that. Here's what I'm focused. Here's what my goals are. And, maybe it's a little bit selfish in the mindset of saying, hey, this is what I want to become and think I can do and who I want to do it with. But I've always kind of had that mindset, even when I was young in high school, that these goals and expectations, weren't some dream that's just some fairy tale. It was real life for me, and so ultimately that was my decision coming back. Is I think this team can compete at a high level and compete for a championship. Now, is it easy? No, we know that, but I think that's the type of caliber of players we have, and that's what I'm focused on doing.
It's funny that for so many years people would come to town and here you are someday, probably, you've put up Hall of Fame numbers, but they would always ask you about Tony because you were close friends. Tell us about Tony. Tell us about Tony. And now Dak is who everybody's asking you. What is it like? What's he like? And all that kind of thing. I know you miss Tony, and this is a weird camp in some ways without him being here. But what is it like with a second-year quarterback who's coming off this amazing year and then watching him sort of take on these huge leadership responsibilities, alongside you? What's that process been like?
Well, first off, this game, there's ebb and flows, and there's things that come and go. And Tony, the one thing as I reflected in that time was I had this unbelievable sense of joy or pride, if you will, of the journey, what this game's allowed me to experience, the relationships I developed through the game, and a lot of fun wins and excitement with Tony over 14 years, and relationship late at night, sitting in each other's room and just, hanging out like you did in college, and you share in adversities as well. But it happens. Ed, you're living it right now. You commit your career to something, and next thing you know, it's over, and you move on to something else and new challenges. And you have a choice to make, And for me, I never felt like it was this like adverse situation of Tony or Dak or anything like that. And they deserve a lot of credit for how they handled the press conference and each other. But for me, I just looked at it. Dak, I was a little bit of an old school veteran. I believe that, the respect is earned. And, in this day and age and social media, and we can all get kind of form an opinion fairly quickly. And so I just kind of watched from afar and just kind of, I guess I was in the middle of it too, so afar wouldn't be fair to say. But I watch, and he just continues to check off every box. Certainly how he played, what a remarkable year to think, he came in as a third-string quarterback, and 3 weeks later he's starting against the Giants. We win 11 in a row. A lot of that's due to his success and his play. But how he handles the media, how he handles his teammates, how is he courteous to the fans. He's quick to take the blame when it's not his fault. He gives others credit, all the things that you want, the intangibles. And so then going into year two, one of the things I was curious to see is just, is he going to feel that success, or is he going to build on it? And he's constantly finding ways that he can get better, he can improve. He's smart, understanding all that. So I just can't say enough positive things about how he's approached it. And it's really good to see guys that have success at an early age and then come back more motivated to want more. That's a sign that their future's bright.
How personally conflicted were you last year when you didn't know if Tony was going to come back and if he'd get to play again, if he did come back and get healthy? Meanwhile, you're winning, but yeah. I'm sure you had team loyalties and your own personal relationship with Tony. Was there at any point did Tony say or do anything that kind of allowed you to fully commit to what everybody else was in?
I give them a lot of credit. I truly believe we wouldn't have had the success we had if we didn't eliminate the elephant in the room. And Tony came back. It was a Tuesday, and he has that press conference, I believe. It may have been a Monday. And he immediately just kind of handled it, and he eliminated all the things. Dak's earned this opportunity. And it never was like, there's a lot of other ways you can say, and say the right thing and not say that. And it just, for all of us, myself included, and he's told me, hey, Jason, don't let my situation get in the way of what you have going and what this team's got going. And hey, it's not easy to do that. You better believe he wanted to be out there and he wanted to play. And so I think Dak respected that and appreciated what Tony said. And I think our football team, I know I certainly did. And it never really allowed any of that to kind of creep in. And I know that may sound crazy to say, but they deserve a lot of credit, both of them, for how they handled it to kind of eliminate it before it ever even got to that point where people were talking about it.
How old were you when you got married?
I was young. I was 21.
So you never, this whole Zeke thing, first of all, Twitter and stuff, it wasn't that long ago, but it was long enough where a lot of this stuff, you never went through you would go out and stuff, but you were, for the most part, like dating and already, you didn't.
Well, Darren Woodson told us in the interview that Jason Witten came in as a 20-year-old true pro, right? There's an example of a guy that age is no excuse for misbehavior.
Well, and
that's what Aikman was commenting on the other day. He didn't think it's fair for everybody to always say he's 21, he's just a kid, that at some point you got to be,
Yeah, and I think what we all understand is that you don't come off those standards, and is it a different era than, it was 15 years ago? Yeah, it was. It was a different era than when you guys went to college? Certainly it was, So that's real, but the standard doesn't change. And we all got to do a better job understanding that and creating an environment where we understand what those standards are and we live up to them. We're accountable to them. So Zeke's a really smart guy. He's got off-the-charts charisma. He's one hell of a football player. And he's a really good person, and I think he understands what's being asked of him. And, we're going to help him, me specifically, and the other guys. And I think he's working towards getting through that, And so I think we're going to see the other side of that. And it's a full circle of who he is and what his perception of him, because he is a very giving and caring guy and extremely talented. But he's a good person, and so I respect. And in saying that, there are expectations and standards, and he understands what's being asked of him.
Does it annoy you that, and you're always given as an example, which is a very positive thing for you, is he's one of our core character guys, but when you have like 5 suspensions, and of course because you are in the news constantly already, you're a very polarizing team, but that reputation is out there. Oh, that's the Cowboys again. They got all these guys in trouble. It was kind of happening in the Damian Wilson situation. How much as a leader of this team and a guy who's never been in any trouble that I know of.
And we've carefully checked.
Yeah, we've looked at all the records. How much does that annoy you that how many good guys, high character people you have, but that sometimes the focus is on some of this negative stuff?
Well, it's and rightfully so. You're going to have negative publicity when you have actions like that, and you have to be accountable to that. You can't make excuses. Our job, my job, is to create an environment where guys understand what's expected. There's not gray. You have to eliminate gray. It's black and white, guys. It really is, And the things come up, and they're your teammates, so you're always going to help them and love them. And you're never going to betray them or turn your back on them. As a leader, as a captain, that's line one, right? I mean, there's an old saying: they don't care how much they know until they know how much you care in football, and I believe that. I believe that's real. I think chemistry is something that you can't fake, but at the same time. There, as I'm saying, there's black and white, and we have to do a better job, all of us understanding these things got to stop coming up. And I think Sean Lee said it best. You create an environment where you have great examples out there, and then you make guys accountable. That makes it really good for those guys to do it.
By the way, I just wanted to comment on.
What's that, Coach?
Mr. Garrett?
Yeah, Coach Garrett walking by right now. One-on-one type, 2-on-1, I guess it is. Your acting over the years has gotten better and better. What's this latest? No, the one you're in.
Drawing penalties or what?
No.
Oh.
We used to joke, Jason and I, because whatever grocery store he was with, they had him in something like almost every day. I mean, there was a lot. Albertsons. There was a lot required out of him. What's this newest one I keep seeing? Golly, what are you doing? I'm just trying to think. You're really funny. I'm just saying, over the years, you just become more and more natural on tape.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I'm coachable, and I've learned that it's all part of it. It's a show business, and you got to learn. Go find somebody else to do it. And so. Just as Ed's gone to the goatee these days, and you rock the glasses/sunglasses, we all have our different styles, but we it's a young man's game, and we got to stay in it. And so the commercials have been that, and so the scripts have changed over the years.
Yeah.
We've improvised and adjusted, and now we're talking the same language.
You're naturally funny, and I think that's a great thing. Have you thought, by the way, of obviously you're going to play a few more years or a couple, however long you determine you're going to play. They'll let you know when it's time to be over. They always do. We just saw you coaching a young man out here and spent like an hour with him, and it looked like you were giving him some decent information.
You actually lifted him up off the ground, showing him.
Yeah, the kid looked scared to me.
One-handed catches.
Coaching, broadcasting like Tony, business world, just relax, play golf. When you think 5 years down the road, or do you just try to stay in the present and not really think too much about that? Obviously, you've got to set yourself up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm living the dream right now. It doesn't get better than this, and I know it'll come to an end. And I don't know. I would like to. If you said what would you do if you're going to make a decision, I think I'd want to be around the game. And this game's been so good to me and my family, my brother's the coach in my old high school. My grandfather was my high school coach. Is it coaching at this level or college, or is it coaching my kid's little peewee team? I don't know what that is yet. We'll figure it out when it comes time, but right now I haven't put a whole lot of thought into it.
Podcasting, perhaps.
Let me ask you this. You were talking about it being a young man's game. You're a 15-year veteran, 35 years old, I believe. But the new energy that Zeke and Dak have brought to this team, what effect has that had on you?
It's been great. I think when I think about it, a lot of times it's talked about I'm the veteran or the big brother type and mentoring these guys, and similar to what we were just talking about a few minutes ago. And that's a responsibility of mine, and I embrace that, and trust me, I work hard at that every day. And what's neat with that is they want to learn. They want to soak it up. It's like when you're talking to your kids and, it goes in one end and out the other, it leaves you kind of thinking like, man, I don't know if it's ever going to sink in. They're not that way. Those young players really have this mindset of they want to soak it up, and so it motivates me. But just as much as I'm pouring into them, I saw last year and even in this camp, is it's made me feel youthful. I catch myself smiling a lot more and enjoying it just because they're a lot of fun. And so I feel like I've kind of reaped the benefits of a lot of that stuff of what they've brought to our football team as well. And that's made it a lot of fun. What I like kind of motivates me every day to come to work.
2 of your last 3 seasons have been 12, 13-win seasons, ending the same way, a playoff loss to Green Bay. What's this team capable of in your mind?
Well, I think this team is capable to compete for a championship. I really do. Is it easy? Is it? No. Are we just going to walk in there? Are we just better than everybody? We're not that type of team. I think we have a core of understanding of what we're trying to do. Our strength is in our offensive line, running the football, unbelievable back. Got playmakers on the outside. Dak's ability his accuracy, Cole and myself inside. I think there's weapons there. Defensively, they have that style. It's balls to the wall, going after it. The way they play. Sean Lee, in my mind, the best linebacker in ball right now. And so there's a lot of strengths. Orlando's healthy. Byron looks great on the back end. So it's just all got to come together. I think this team has that caliber, but certainly you just got to put one foot in front of the other and see how it plays out. There's a lot of good teams there, but I think we can compete with those teams and build on what we had last year.
And just confirm this statement for me. Yeah, Ed, I think I got that. We're wrapping it up. Yeah, thanks.
His career.
I know. God, you're the one asking all the serious questions. But this is very serious. Is Baylor's Rico Gathers the next great tight end for this organization?
Yeah, Rico. Rico has a chance. He's a big, strong, athletic guy, and so with that, there's certainly talent that you look at and say, my goodness, this is an opportunity. What you have to understand is, Coach Garrett talks about it all the time, right? He says we don't want flash players, and so oftentimes we can see an unbelievable catch, and then what happens next? And so Rico's got to understand, hey, here's what the expectation, and he does. The guy's in his second year of football. To think how far he's came. So I think he has a bright future. I think he's got upside. He's just got to continue to focus in on each little thing that this position entails. And you know what? When they bring an extra linebacker, then we have to protect. You got to be hot.
Yeah.
And the blocking scheme and coming off on the doubles and climbing to the second level. There's so much that goes into playing the tight end position. And so he just keeps having good days, and he's got a chance to be a good football player. And he has the right approach. He's got a good, fun perspective on things. He speaks a little bit in the third person a time or two, but he's a great guy. And you think about the transition that he made. That's hard. That's hard to do. And he's making it look fairly easy in that process. So we'll see how it plays out. But I do think he's got a bright future.
Mosley had a lot of shortcomings like that when he came out of Baylor himself, and look at him now.
No, Matt Mosley likes that answer. We appreciate you all these years. Sorry about all the negative things Ed said, but I've always been there to support you. Thank you.
Yeah, Matt, this is one of our, this is probably the first time in how many years we sat down. Matt just completely, just jumped ship.
He never even shows up out there anymore, right?
It just completely jumped ship, and I don't know that he'll ever be forgiven by a lot of people. But,
that's for sure. That's for sure. Thank you, Jason.
Right, guys, thanks.
Appreciate it, buddy.
All right, good
really
to see
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
good
great to see you. It's fun. And we really appreciate Jason Witten. Just some really good stuff there, and just quite honestly, I think we couldn't pick a better time to be out here. We had some great access and had a good time there. And again, Ed Werder gets a lot of credit for staking out Jason. And then I will say this: I I have had, like with most of my relationships, although, Frito's a guy that I haven't really been up and down with him. And actually, Ed, you and I have been
because you're paying him
on firm ground for many years. But Jason, like many athletes I've covered, it's been up and down. And he's been frustrated with me at times. But he's always been very accountable, and I've always appreciated him. And I just thought how open and willing to talk about everything. I just really enjoyed that. Now,
it was like 20 plus minutes, just the three of us sitting in the shade at training camp.
Yeah,
and Jason really offering real thought to all of the questions that we posed to him. And this is a guy who, when Zeke Elliott. When Jason Witten came into the NFL, Zeke Elliott was 8 years old. Dak Prescott was 10. These are the guys he's playing with now that he's relying on to get him to a Super Bowl or to a championship game at least, something he's never experienced despite his incredible individual success. And let's put that into context. 7th in the NFL with 1,089 career catches. He's only 14 catches away from passing 3 Hall of Famers. Tim Brown at number 6, Chris Carter at number 5, and Marvin Harrison at number 4. In a very short space of time at the beginning of this season, barring an injury, Jason Witten is going to be the number 3 pass receiver in NFL history. Now we know that tight ends do not have a great history of getting into the Hall of Fame on a first ballot. In fact, it's never happened. Now Tony Gonzalez may change that, but that has never happened. And people think it's going to be quick and easy for Jason Witten to get in, but I think Rick Goslin had the great note that the average length of time the Hall of Fame tight ends have spent waiting has been 12 years. Wow. Jason Witten won't wait 12 years, but I'm not sure he's going to get in on the first ballot either.
Well, and you said it. Tony Gonzalez still has to go in. Antonio Gates still has to go in.
But Gates is still playing too, so neither one of them has begun the 5-year wait.
They have not begun that. It was something. Now, from a certain Hall of Famer in our mind to a man who has yet to catch his first pass in the NFL.
He's got 1,089 fewer catches than Jason Witten.
Good point, and you continue to provide excellent context. I will say this. This man, though, did have a wonderful first preseason game. And this is his second year, although he was on the practice squad last year. And I'm talking about Rico Gathers. And, Ed, I was excited. It just so I like
You're wearing your Baylor pullover.
I like to pull the curtain back a little bit. Ed was over there doing, a perfect job. He thought, well, I'll go over there and listen to what the first-round pick, Taco Charlton. That's been an interesting story. Taco has not really had that great of a camp. And Ed thought, I'll go visit with Taco. And I'm over there trying to secure the Rico interview, and I have to holler across the field to Ed while Rico's waiting. And I say to Rico, you didn't know this, I go, hey, my co-host Ed Werder, we need to get him. And then people started to kind of come in on our territory. So then that's when I hollered at you. Ed walks over, and that is when we were surrounded the whole time by some other media, but in deference to us, and I think our skin's on the wall, let's say, I don't think anybody else
Nobody asked another question. They put their microphones there, or they had their cameras running, but we conducted the interview for all.
So here it is. I don't know if it's going to be a one-hit wonder. Who knows? Could this be the next heir apparent?
Has he even had a one-hit yet?
The touchdown the other night.
A preseason game? That doesn't count.
That's a big hit. That's a big hit. The heir apparent to Jason Witten. Here is
White Snake, but more skins on the wall so far.
Rico Gathers. Rico, you got a lot of attention for that big touchdown catch and everything you did in Game 1. I guess the trick is now building on that. What was that like coming off some success, and what's this week been like, since that? What have you been able to accomplish?
Just focusing on what's next, and that's the Rams. Getting my mind ready for, what they're going to bring, what they're going to throw at us and stuff like that. So just really, focusing on building on, the things that I had to work on coming out of that game. And, just focusing on getting better each and every day.
Is this just trying to flash back to last year at this same time. Is just light years different? Does everything feel completely different now, just having gone through the off season and gone through, last year with the practice squad? Is it everything just happening a lot easier or smoother for you?
I just say, I'm working hard, man. Working hard, doing what the offense, has me to do, and that's, blocking and, running routes and catching passes. So
we had a good long visit with Witten today, and, he's had a lot of people try to replace him over the years, and they don't always end up staying around here. What has he done for you as a mentor, and what's the biggest takeaway you've had from being around a guy like that? He'll probably be in the Hall of Fame someday.
Man, he's done nothing but, try to help me along the way, encouraging me, coaching me up on, the things that he see. Like, the day sitting out, I was going to him and asking him questions about, things that I might not see that he sees and he recognizes and stuff like that. So, the biggest takeaway is just, taking away his experience, man. He got a lot of experience in this game, so, asking questions on things you might know and, just going from there.
Can you put into perspective for people how difficult the transition it is to go from college basketball to the NFL?
Extremely difficult, especially if you ain't got the mindset for it. For me, I think, I was 100% all in. And, once I made that decision, I just stuck with it, regardless of the circumstance, me being on practice squad, me getting cut, last year and stuff like that. It's all about sticking with what you put your mind to. And for me, that's what I did.
Jason Garrett said yesterday that one of the issues that he's trying to coach you on right now is intensity, not just intensity from play to play, but even from within a play, that you have to maintain your level of intensity. How do you work on something like that?
Just, coming in practice and, just finishing plays, finishing through the whistle and stuff like that. I might, start out with a good block, but, the play not dead till the whistle over with. So just, playing the play all the way through, and, for the most part, that's what I worked on all this week is just, trying to finish.
If you stayed with basketball, you would have played pro somewhere. Where do you think you'd be right now? Do you think you'd be playing overseas, or?
I've been NBA, hands down, because I would have been one of the top rebounders coming up. I could have left and went to the NBA draft my junior year if I wanted to. Would have been a top rebounder then.
Isn't this a lot more work and a lot more challenging?
A lot more challenging, and that was one of the things. Just accepting the challenge, doing something out of the ordinary, and that's what I'm doing. That's what I've been doing is working hard at it, and just taking it one day at a time.
Have you had any teams ask you to sign with an NBA team and leave football? And
no, I mean, that's one of the things. They see that I'm a well committed dude, well committed to what I'm trying to do, and normally, when you commit, when you see somebody committed to something, you don't try to step in and overthrow somebody else's authority.
Were you excited to see your old teammate Jonathan Motley end up signing with the Mavs?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was proud of him and stuff like that. I know he didn't get drafted and stuff, but you can't really focus on where you start. It's all about where you finish.
Is there any coach out here who reminds you of Scott Drew, or is really nobody in life that positive?
Nobody in life's that positive. Coach Drew, he is a great guy. He's all for his players, man, and he's all about encouraging you to do the right things and stuff like that. Even when you might not do the right thing sometimes, he's always gonna have your back and guide you into the right direction.
Rico, thank you. Yeah. Welcome. Glad you came to the Doomsday Podcast. Yeah. Where does this rank in your career so far?
Unranked.
See you, buddy. And that was Rico Gathers talking about sort of what it's been like for him. And Ed, that was I thought that was fun. I think he's going to be a fun player. I don't know how much he'll accomplish. It is incredible. I love the NBA aspect of that interview.
How
with
about
him
him saying, I could be in the NBA right now as one of the best rebounders in the league, and instead I'm out here sweating it out trying to make the team.
I thought that was fun. And I will say this. He could have been a great rebounder, but there aren't many guys that just specialize in rebounds that are his size. He's about 6'6.5", and he looks big. He's huge, but he's not that tall. He's not like NBA size. He's not that tall. And there's not any – I mean, there are nice small forwards and shooting guards or wings at 6'6" or 6'7", but, man, he was going to have to play – he couldn't have played power forward. So anyway,
we won't get Charles Barkley.
But Barkley had too much skill, and he didn't have that much skill at all. He's not even close to that. So that was an interesting part of that. Now, Ed, we got to sum up our time. We've been out here. We've had a great week. Spent all week here in Oxnard, and
we actually did more podcasts than we planned on, right? I mean, because Darren Woodson was so good, and then we got Jason Witten after that, we decided that was really too much great content for one show.
Yeah.
So we did a bonus episode of a bunch of bonus episodes.
Yeah, and what worries me is that you and Frito generally charge me per episode, and I feel like
curious to see what the deposit.
I feel like I got played really on this trip for the most part, but no, it's been fun. And just to sum up things, I still now the Cowboys have some issues. I mean, there's a left guard battle that has broken out, and Byron Bell and Jonathan Cooper vying for the left guard spot on an offensive line that is one of the most accomplished in the NFL, but that's a very important spot.
And Bell seems to be winning at the moment, which is not what the organization wanted the outcome to be when camp started.
No, I don't think so at all. I think Collins looks fine to me so far. When I look at him at right tackle, I thought he did some good things. I will say, everybody's excited about the Ryan Switzer, the young man who came in 4th-round pick, to see what he can do returning punts. Muffed one today. You and I were standing by next to each other, and it was one of those end-over-end kind of goofy.
And it was inside the 10. Yeah. It appeared we were at the other end of the field, but it was certainly too close to the goal line to even be, for him to field it, let alone then muff it and potentially turn it over. And one of the interesting things you mentioned, Switzer, I think that was the drill that I watched that most surprised me. Like in all the years I've covered football, we've all seen, receivers and defensive backs go over and catch balls off the jugs gun, the baseball pitching machine. But he almost had his hands on the rotating discs. I mean, he was a foot away catching these balls. Now, he didn't catch all of them, but it was obviously meant to, quick twitch and eye-hand coordination and strengthen his hands to catch the football. And he showed me his hands afterward. They were calloused and they were red. They were somehow not bleeding. And he actually said he's seen the Packer receivers do this. That's where he got the idea.
And it's, just so you know, it's coming out there at a high velocity. And, I mean, if I had $1 for every time I've heard you say nice jugs,
you'd have $1.
Okay, all right, and there it is.
Wow, that's we're ending on that.
I think it's very appropriate. Here we are, Oxnard, California. Look out at our beautiful at our hotel. Look out there right now to your right. There's a flame. I don't want to call that an eternal flame.
I see a fat guy. I see a fat guy carrying a hamburger.
This is interesting. You see all these speaking of fat guys, like all these former Cowboys show up out here. Josh Brent serving some sort of internship.
No, he works for the Cowboys in the scouting department.
Okay. He's doing something here. Andre Gerard's part of the thing. He's been out here.
He might be a coaching intern.
Colombo, assistant offensive line coach. Yeah. I mean, these guys, Leon Lett. I mean,
he called me a rat once on Twitter, so I don't.
Who did that?
Colombo.
Ooh, that's why, he loves me, and today he kind of moved on past me pretty quickly.
Because I was standing next
to
you, I was having nothing to do with him.
I cannot believe. Okay, I kind of wondered about that. All right, folks, we have enjoyed it, and we're going to continue this all season, but we wanted to come out here and give you a full week of shows. And Ed, who all do we want to thank for this? The Cowboys organization, they were helpful, and we
credentialed us. We appreciate that.
Yeah, the morning news.
I guess if you want to.
Yeah,
I worked there once.
Yeah, they still pay me, and so
I think Frito. We should thank Frito.
I appreciate it. Frito Nation Productions. And Frito did an incredible job. Yeoman's work. Anxious. No one will invoice you as fast as Frito.
Travis Matthew provided you a jacket for your television appearance.
You did, but it was
show. But they were using it as an advertisement, so they were pleased to be a part of it.
Yeah, and thanks to Skype, we've used some Skype this week. No, we've really enjoyed ourselves, and just want to thank everybody everybody. Continue to subscribe for free at Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play. You can go to so many different areas. What's the other one? iHeartRadio. Yeah. There's so many different ways you can get to us. And I'm just really excited because we have some sponsors now. And Patreon's one of them, and I'll tell you much more about that. But we've got new sponsors, and that's pretty exciting when there are national brands that are wanting to be part of the Doomsday Podcast. I want to tell you about that. I'll be doing that soon. And thanks to everyone. Good night, everybody.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
Hey, it's Mark Goodman.
And I'm Alan Light.
On today's podcast, Record Store Day founder Carrie Colleton is joining us to discuss the April 20th RSD special releases.
Plus, we'll talk live with our audience, the Sound Up Pod Squad, and find out who still listens to vinyl, and some updates from the Beatles universe.
Oh, good. Sound Up with Mark Goodman and Alan Light, the only music podcast that matters. Get it on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.